Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text 24. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah param bhavam ajananto mama vyayam anuttamam. So Krishna says, so far he has described in the last 20, 21, 22, 23, 4 verses about these Devata Aradhana, those who go to the demigods, and how less intelligent they are, and how they get those benedictions, and how Krishna is behind those benedictions, and how they are temporary benedictions. And now Krishna also talks about another class of less intelligent people who are called impersonalists, those who claim that ultimately God is impersonal. And what do they say? This is what they say. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam. They consider me, mam, manyante. I was before avyaktam, impersonal. Now I have become a person, vyaktim apannam, manyante mam. And they are also abuddhayaha, less intelligent. Because parambhavam ajanantaha, they do not understand my parambhavam, my superior nature, transcendental nature. Mama avyayam anuttamam, my imperishable nature. Prabhupada nicely translates, unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme. So, these are the class of Mayavadis or the impersonalists. The Mayavadis, they say that Krishna's form is coming from some avyakta, some impersonal, unmanifest. They think like that. And Krishna is clearly saying they are unintelligent. Parambhavam, they do not know my superior nature. So there are two kinds of impersonalists. One is the Brahmavadis and the Mayavadis. The Brahmavadis, they understand that the supreme absolute truth is beyond anything material. In the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks a question. Tesham ke yoga vittamaha evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam paryupasate echapi aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna is asking Krishna, which is considered to be more perfect? Who are considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in devotional service, worshipping the form, spiritual form, or those who are worshipping the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? And Krishna's direct answer is those who worship the spiritual form, they are perfect. And Krishna goes on to describe the worshippers of the impersonal Brahman in the 3rd and 4th verses of the 12th chapter, where he says, Yetu aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatragam achintyam cha kutastham achalam dhruvam. Krishna has described the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, which is the object of worship of the Brahmavadis. These Brahmavadis, they know that the supreme absolute truth as Brahman, and that Brahman they consider as Aksharam, that is beyond the perception of the senses. You cannot perceive the absolute truth using your material senses, which is true, because our spiritual senses are covered. So, therefore, the absolute truth currently is Aksharam, Anirdeshyam, indefinite. You cannot describe or conceive the absolute truth, especially the Brahman feature. So, anirdeshyam, avyaktam, unmanifest. So, they don't try to search the absolute truth among all the manifested varieties of this world. So, they try to negate everything that they find. Oh, this is not the truth. This is not the truth. Neti, neti. Absolute truth is not this, is not that. So, they eliminate all varieties, particularly the Mayavadis. But the Brahmavadis, their understanding is avyaktam. The absolute truth is impersonal. Brahman is unmanifest. He is never manifest in any material form. So Brahman is not realized by searching for absolute truth in material varieties. So there is the Brahmavadis, the only mistake is that they are not aware of Krishna's existence, Krishna's form, knowledge about Krishna. That is why they cannot worship Krishna form. They consider Avyaktam as the ultimate. That is one kind of impersonalists who are ignorant of Krishna. But the Mayavadis, they know Krishna. They look at Krishna and then say, oh, this is not absolute truth. This is material form. Mayavadis hoy Krishnera aparadhi. They offend Krishna. But the Brahmavadis, they are impersonalists. They are not offenders of Krishna. They just are not aware of, they're not given proper knowledge of Krishna. And once they get the knowledge of Krishna, they leave that impersonalism and take to worship of Krishna. But the Mayavadis are not like that. They argue that Krishna's form is also made of Maya. Like how Krishna is saying here, Avyaktam Vyaktimapannam Manyante. When Krishna went to Mathura, or rather was taken to Mathura by Akrura with the evil plan of Kamsa to get them killed, so there it is described how the impersonalists were seeing Krishna. As Krishna and Balaram entered the wrestling area, and Sukadeva Goswami describes, Itham satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam varadaivatena. These Brahmavadis saw Krishna as impersonal Brahman. So because they know that Krishna, the ultimate absolute truth, is non-material, unmanifested, present everywhere, achintyam. So the problem is, it is very difficult to conceive. Klesho adhikatarastesham. That is why Krishna says in the 5th verse of 12th chapter. If you want to, if you are worshipping the impersonal form of God, it is very difficult. Kleshaha adhikataraha tesham avyakta asakta chetasam. So Krishna is calling them as less intelligent because Krishna is right there in front. He's declaring himself. He's already declared. Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is no truth superior to me as you are seeing in front of you. This is the ultimate. That's the form you are seeing is the ultimate. But still people say, oh, there is something beyond Krishna. God is impersonal. Or they say, oh, whatever form you worship, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you will go to God. It's like saying, oh, you go to bus stand, whatever bus you take, it doesn't matter. You'll go to the capital city. So like that. But unfortunately, people fall for it. Even the bogus incarnations, they declare, oh, I am now the incarnation. I have taken the form now. The formless God has taken the form now. So there was one such incarnation. During Prabhupada's times also he was there. Much later also he was there. And then there was one uh, newspaper published an article because he became famous throughout the world at that time. So there was a paper called Blitz paper. They published an article called God is an Indian. And so that came to the notice of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada started to write a letter to question him, saying how you are claiming yourself an incarnation. What is the ground of your claiming as incarnation? What have you done to save the human society? Will you explain for enlightenment of us? Because we have got the list of incarnations mentioned in the Vedic scriptures. So, where is the record in the Vedic scriptures about your appearing as incarnation? Krishna's incarnation is fully described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and so on and so forth. So, and then these people they started to read the description that he has told his followers. He has told his followers that in my present avatar, I have come armed with the fullness of the power of the formless God to save humanity, is what he claimed. So Prabhupada immediately lashed onto it. So you have claimed to take a form of the formless God, but we see in Bhagavad Gita that God is never formless. And then he quoted this verse that we are reading today. Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mam abuddhayah. Only less intelligent think that God is ultimately impersonal, and now he has taken the form of a person. He's quoted that to that bogus incarnation. So Krishna is a person, and he says to Arjuna that both of them existed in the past as persons. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamah sarve vayam atah param. And they will continue to remain as persons in the future. So without knowing all this knowledge, a mudha, a foolish person accepts the incarnation of God like this. And therefore, by saying all these things, you have proved yourself to become a mudha. How can a mudha become incarnation of God? And then Prabhupada said, can you continue reading from the newspaper what all he says? And then the disciple started to read. So he further says that incarnation, so called incarnation, the mission of the present avatar is to make everybody realize that since the same God or divinity resides in everyone, people should respect, love, and so on and so forth. Then Prabhupada, straightforward, he said, no, no. If he, if the divinity resides in everyone, then why he has special claim? Then everybody should be special. Why he has special claim? And then the disciple said, yes, well, he says he has remembered. And again, Prabhupada counter argues with a sharp logical argument. He remembers? Then how can God forget in the first place? God cannot forget. If he forgets, he is not God. And then the disciple says, oh, this is the explanation he gives. You take paddy or rice by way of an illustration. Every grain of rice is enclosed in a husk. Now you have to remove the husk to get the grain of rice. Now husk and rice both come from the same seed. Rice is the equivalent of God in man. So basically he says that, oh, generally everybody looks like the husk. But in this case, he has become special because the husk of that ignorance is removed. But again, he cannot explain the point why he is firstly covered. If he is God, why he let him let why God is covered by ignorance or Maya. This is what the Mayavadis argue. They say ultimately God is impersonal and we are also part of God. We are also impersonal. That spirit soul is impersonal. And when we are liberated at the end of life, we go and join that impersonal and become one with God. We become God. And then they say that now this body is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Is in illusion we are thinking that this body exists. And then Prabhupada says, if you are in illusion, how can God be in illusion? That means illusion is better than God. So Prabhupada clarifies that actually we are all parts and parcels of God. We are one with God in that sense. We are sparks of God. Mamaivamsho jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashthani indriyani prakritisthani karshyati. So everyone is a part and parcel of God. In that sense, I can say I am God. But just like I can say I am the ocean, a drop of the ocean can say I am the ocean because I belong to the ocean. But the ocean's quantity is different from the quantity of the drop. So Prabhupada therefore concluded his preaching to this bogus incarnation. So you can show some magic, but you cannot show the full magic as Krishna displayed or Lord Ramachandra displayed. Therefore, your claim as a full power is completely false and blasphemous. Complete Mayavada. And then the disciple, he brought up another argument. Well, Prabhupada, then somebody may come up and say, well, if an avatar must show all kinds of great power and opulences, then they may say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he did not display any such opulences or did not show Vishwarupa and those kind of things. And then Prabhupada said, but he never claimed as an avatar. He didn't go on saying, oh, I'm avatar, worship me. God is formless. He didn't say all of that. But we understand from the Shastric evidence, from various Shastras, Upanishads, Puranas, Bhagavatam, even the Vishnu Sahasranama, everywhere Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is described. But he never himself claimed. Rather, when he was addressed as Krishna, he blocked his ears. Don't say like that. But he fully displayed himself as a devotee. So, anyway, so Prabhupada strongly replied such a bogus incarnation, and he preached his devotees how to understand all these kind of things, not to fall trap. Like if you study Bhagavad Gita properly, you will not fall for this false narratives, false notions. People fall for this gimmicks because they don't understand the true knowledge. Once you are equipped with true knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, particularly given by a bona fide spiritual master coming in disciplic succession, then nobody will fall for this kind of cheating. So Prabhupada also says in the purport, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his form, quality, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. See, one must understand Krishna not by mental speculation. These Mayavadis, they come to this conclusion by mental speculation. Oh, God is impersonal. This is illusion. That is illusion. Athapite deva padambujadvaya. Bhagavatam says. Athapite deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugruhita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. So unless you are benedicted with a drop of the mercy of Krishna, you cannot understand Krishna, his form. It will remain elusive. You can go on speculating from the Vedic literature. Vedeshu durlabham. Lord Brahma confirms in Brahma Samhita. By all the Vedas, you can study and speculate by yourself. But Krishna remains durlabham. But he becomes adurlabham atma bhaktau. For a devotee, he becomes adurlabham, very easy to attain. He reveals himself. So, this is a process of revelation, not a process of ascending by our mental faculties, intelligent. Of course, we should apply them to understand what is given by the spiritual master. That is also process of bhakti. Bhaktya shruta gruhitaya. One should not mistake that in bhakti we keep away all our intelligence and logic and mind and so on and so forth. But we apply them to understand the knowledge given by the spiritual master in disciplic succession, to understand the knowledge given by Krishna as it is, not falling for those who are speculators. We take the knowledge from the spiritual master because he is connected to the sampradaya going all the way to Krishna. The mental speculator, he says, I am the myself God, I am myself Guru. There is no sampradaya. How he is understood? Oh, my mental speculation. So Prabhupada says here, modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predecessor Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So Shankaracharya already declared Narayana Paro Abhyaktat Sa Bhagavan Swayam Krishna. These are the statements Shankaracharya made. But they deny all these also because they are so envious of Krishna. They deny even the leader Shankaracharya statements. That is why Krishna is saying Abuddhayaha. Don't understand. You cannot understand by your mental speculation. Krishna will always become elusive for your understanding. Like how the Lord also has a planet. Not only is a person that he has planet, he has parents, he has relatives, he has wonderful qualities. All of these things exist. So by the mercy of a pure devotee, by practicing bhakti, we need to understand all these kind of things. अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि न भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रियैहि सेवोन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यदः. So it is said that our senses are blunt to understand spiritual matters. Then how can we understand sevonmukhehi? When you do seva to the Lord, the senses become purified, and in that purified senses we can perceive God. Krishna will reveal. Like for example, Krishna is there fully in his holy name. When we chant Krishna, Krishna is there fully. Purna Vapushe Namo Namaha. Krishna is there fully. But can we experience Krishna like Haridas Thakur is experiencing, like Rupa Goswami is experiencing, like all the Acharyas are experiencing Krishna in the holy name? We are not able to experience. Why? Because our senses are not purified. But when the senses are purified, everything is revealed. How the holy name is non different. One cannot stop chanting the holy name. Rupa Goswami is saying, I cannot chant just with one tongue. I need millions of tongues to taste the nectar of this holy name. I need millions of ears. to taste the nectar of this holy name. Why? Because their senses are aroused, their spiritual senses are aroused. But for us, we are still in the material platform. That is why the spiritual master gives 16 rounds, at least you do, or at least whatever malas you have taken as oath, you do that much. But if you build that strength slowly and steadily, and you continue to endeavor sincerely, by the process of purification, you will come to that stage where you can perceive Krishna not different from his holy name. And when Krishna is pleased, he will reveal more and more. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.